Hello, everybody.
Hello. Selfless in the house. Must be Thursday at 2.
Eric Rader in the house. Stats are down. Horizontal. Yeah.
Another week of liability or worse for our friends at the Ideal Orgs. And
some crisis, emergency. Yeah, definitely.
Tomorrow on drinks, joints, and crafts, I'll be. I bought a new big paint by numbers.
Oh, cool
thing.
Yeah,
and I'll be having a drink and a joint while I'm painting, and that'll just show the people, still in the seer what they could be doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
What they could be doing, or you could go around and ask everyone if they'll let you back in that organization because you suck so bad.
I mean,
can you please sign this?
The clay models, I would think.
I was watching this morning. On Thursdays I always watch Z News and the auditor guy. Yeah, God darn it, I always forget his name. He was with Z News every time. Anyway, but I love watching those people get in because they always are filming as everyone's getting in.
Yes.
And
Kansas City.
Yeah. And
great work. Absolutely.
it's such a trip because it's like the closest we get to see a bunch of people, because that's still probably the biggest org that I'm aware of outside of Blue,
right,
and Celebrity Center, and that has public. So but it's a trip to see those people come in because when you see people looking at the floor and there's no smiles on their faces, that's not what you see when the stats are up, my friend. That's not what you see.
No.
Okay.
That's when they're facing more work, longer hours, lower conditions, the works.
And that pressure is something fierce because you're already working as many hours as you possibly can. So what you know is going to happen is it's going to become a disciplinary issue.
Yes.
Because we already got you working 19 hours a day. And you can't get your stats up.
Right.
What do we need to know?
Yeah, absolutely. And so then it's what? Sec checking basically.
Oh yeah. Damn right.
Right.
Damn right.
Yeah.
Especially when you've been in those conditions for a long time and that range gets really low, like I said, right. you can even have what would look like a normal week.
Yeah.
And they won't give you any liberties because your range is shit.
Exactly. Right. Connecting to the point you were making last week.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. That the range, if you can't get beyond, basically you're already in the toilet and you're just like coasting over the rim, that gets you no awards.
Yeah. and what makes me happy is they've been able to have this carrot over their head for the last couple of years where it's like, I know things are slow and you're having troubles, and now Selfless and Pearl are out there and that's fucking you up. But don't worry, because we have these teams that are at Flag that are learning how to, get rid of all your problems.
Yep.
And so they were waiting for that. Where is it? Where is it? They're done. They came back. Where are these teams?
Yes.
What happened?
Not sure. I mean, there was a lot of movement in and out of the Austin org. We saw a lot of different kinds of personnel, and that could have been, some kind of reflection of that policy in action where they were trying to mix up the team to better deal with us, and seemingly none of it really worked.
I honestly thought the only chance they had and what they were going to go for would be to like put out 5 tables, like come come crazy, put out 5 tables, have 10 pinch tests going, have the just come out full force with the volunteer minister fugazi bullshit, pinch tests, everything, and just right in our face, just go 50 times harder and say, hey, can Selfless and Pearl actually fuck this whole thing up?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. Okay. Yeah.
Anybody could, I guess.
Sure. I know I could.
Yeah. So,
you know,
yeah. Oh, yeah. Do the old method of actually confronting with multiple members, like haranguing and harassing you, like in the classic Mark Bunker videos. And that's what I understood resistance from Scientology to be. And, you know, we saw some of it at the Ideal Org opening in Chicago, definitely. It's a lot more of that, and a lot more whales and kind of the high profile people. And you'll see it at Big Blue every once in a while, but not really. Not really.
The whole idea that they have to keep shutting us away, trying to get rid of us, is what tells me they have no plan. Okay, because I mean,
well, they're playing for time. Like playing for an extra little bit of time, all of these special event permits and the blocking of LRH Boulevard and then all of the harassing fake police and fire calls, and in some cases the physical assaulting of protesters and legal action against them, of course.
But I thought they would come out. I mean, they're still doing the swap meets and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, I've said this many times. I don't even know if I would even go to a swap meet to harass them, because you're never going to make any money. They're never going to make any money. I go to the swap meet to get a deal on glue and whatever on a tool set or some kind of shit. You're not going there because you have 20,000 burning a hole in your pocket that you need, for an intensive of bullshit. And just like, that's not even the public they want. To them, that's degraded public. I grew up with them telling me that those were the DBs.
Yeah. So they want people with like a home and, middle class or upper middle class income, and that's that they can drain piece at a time. But yeah, it smacks of desperation if they're trying all of this stuff, just like linking arms with NOI, because both of their memberships are flagging, and like for a lot of years they've been showing a lot of outward signs that are very difficult to disguise of weakness.
Mm-hmm. And going after Latino families, it's just like, these are the last places you're ever going to have any success breaking up those families.
That's what I saw a lot at the public events that I saw on LRH Boulevard were, a lot of very young, and I think more than the population of Los Angeles, Latino families that they're specifically trying to attract.
Yeah.
And have them have a good feeling getting their kids some kind of entertainment and free food and a bag of Scientology schlock on the way out.
But I mean, if put it like this, all the Latino friends I have, if I would love to be a fly on the wall when someone would say, hey, I need to go easy. I can't say nothing against this, because then they'll tell me I can't see you anymore, Mom. The Latino mom would go right into the org itself and say, fuck all you guys. You're never going to get us apart. And, and that's a Latino mom would go take her son out of the academy by the ear.
Yeah.
Okay. It's just, in other words, when you hit this level, you're desperate.
You're taken in, because as we know, like a lot of, individuals were trafficked in by their family and in Latino families. So it's definitely something that would still occur if they believed it. And so I guess they're trying to cast a wide enough net to catch some of them. And
they're also heavily religious. I mean, so it's not the public that you're looking for. Just like they don't go. You've never seen them go out in front of a temple and try to recruit.
no,
you know?
But I have heard Scientologists claiming to be Catholics who they basically put out on the front lines of those events and are like a liaison to what they assume are like a Catholic population that they're bringing in, and just say, yeah, you can be a Catholic and be this too. I am that. And I challenged this one person on their Catholicism and being able to be, a Scientology staffer at the same time, and that I don't think that would work. I don't know if the Pope would particularly agree with that. And so it seems like they're really trying, knocking hard on that door. They believe that there's a future there. So,
well, and they also were never smart about the way they went about it. Like they always you would see the disdain for other religions, and
yes.
It's almost like oh boy, okay, I know, I get it, you got that, a couple problems there we can take care of. We got you. You swallowed a couple of the things. They're religious hairballs. We'll get those up, from you.
Right. Yeah.
And it just, instead of being like really caring and stuff, and there's another angle you could take, which I'm not saying it's going to be effective, but it'll be a hell of a lot better than just making everyone out to be a piece of shit idiot, which is really what they do. And so there's no empathy. And so if you were religious and they told you it was all good, you're going to be pretty pissed off when they tell you got to bail on that.
Yes.
Absolutely. And what are you going to tell the ethics officer when you're like, yeah, I prayed about it and this is what God told me? That ain't going to work.
No. So I would assume that, the people trying to do this recruitment would wait till they know that they're deep enough in where the person is now questioning their loyalty to their former religion, and that there's they have a majority control over maybe their faith ideas and their belief claims. Yeah, I would wait till the person is plenty buttered up until I made that pitch, because the blowback would be maybe they walk forever.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah,
and because why it never can work together is because you're responsible for everything, not God. You see?
Yep.
So you can't just pray and then hopefully you don't get attacked in the alleyway.
Yes.
What Scientology says, you become ethical and you won't be attacked in the alleyway.
Yep.
You see?
That's right.
So you basically are responsible for absolutely everything, not God.
Yes. Yeah. And I mean, with enough training, control over matter, energy, space, and time, right? So whoosh, like range or something.
Yeah.
Oh jeez. You're going 8 on me? Wow.
Oh man! So we have an A+ super guest backstage. I am very, very excited about.
Fantastic. Yeah. Met this person my first round protesting at the Ideal Org opening in Chicago, and is amazingly quick-witted, cultured, well-read, intelligent, our intrepid court reporter, and a pretty nice singing voice there. I want to bring on to the stage here, Dodge Landesman.
Well, thank you. Quite the ringing endorsement. I'm honored.
No, absolutely. Absolutely liked the cut of your jib at first gander there.
Likewise. Likewise.
That was those were some brave days out there in Chicago.
Yeah, brothers in arms.
Indeed.
We
Yeah.
all came close to getting arrested. This close.
Oh, absolutely. They wanted it very
Yeah.
badly. That Commander David Harris wanted all of us arrested. Sean and Galena, who was there directing them, very much wanted to see this happen.
Yeah, and you can see them talking to the police, and if we cross certain thresholds, like behind the bank, they're trying to get all of us. I mean, they wanted to get all of us arrested at the same time, like 20 people all at once. But the police had to, at least the police had enough sense to say, okay, they could at least bypass this specific section. But it came close.
Very close. Yeah. Well, they corralled us out of there. They trespassed us from a public alley.
Right. Public. That's where it all was. Right. A public alley. Right. Behind the bank, which people would use to utilize the bank. Has nothing to do with the Scientology property.
Yeah. People definitely went in and, talked to the bank and got the information that they had no idea that anybody had claimed this. And in fact, they have no claim over the public alley, so they couldn't give anybody permission in the first place. So yeah, it is hilarious. What got you into this anyway?
Good question. Well, I think as you've seen from my stream, I'm a weird cat. I've always been incredibly individualistic. And when everybody turns right, I've always turned left. So the cult mindset has always been fascinating to me. And it's funny, whenever I followed the Scientology stuff since I was 14 years old, probably 14, 13. Whenever I had a long time, and 33 now. So super, super long time. And whenever I had a bad boss, my first thought was, man, this guy's a regular David Miscavige. Like that was my first thought. And I was obsessed with cults because I was miserable in my 9 to 5 and I kept comparing them. So Scientology was the perfect. I mean, obviously they're 10 times worse, obviously. But Scientology was fun to compare and contrast and think, well, at least, I'm not in a motel room with 7 other people. And it could be worse, but the communication style is familiar in terms of how Miscavige communicates, how people of higher authority communicate. So long story short, paid attention to all of it when I was a news anchor, and I was a local TV news anchor out in Yuma, and I was watching growing up Scientology, even Chris Shelton, so kind of both sides, reading Tony Ortega. And I thought, like, this is weird, man. There's just something missing with the Lisa Marie Presley thing after she died, because I thought it was pretty gutsy of her to be willing to be on the witness list to testify in the Danny Masterson trial. She wasn't able to in the first one, but it looks like most likely she was willing and would have been put on the list for the retrial. And I just thought the media is missing something here. And as a news anchor, you're supposed to just read the CNN script that they give you. You're supposed to copy and paste it for national stories. But I'm like, screw it. There's no legal rule or hard and fast rule that I have to do that. So I kind of did my own thing, being like, this is ballsy of her. It should be part of her legacy. She could have gotten repercussions, and then all hell broke loose, and Scientology threatened to sue. But that's how I got into it. And I just felt like, as somebody who knows this news and who has had a personal, now it's what I'm doing, but who had a personal interest in Scientology, I'd be neglecting the news, neglecting the truth if I didn't add that one little facet in there. And then all hell broke loose.
Well, right.
Did you ever think like you might have bit off more than you could chew? Like, was there ever a time where that happened? Or were you always just like, I don't give a shit?
You're talking about in that specific instance?
Yeah. Like, were you ever nervous, or do you not get that way?
You're talking about with TV news, or like doing the Lisa Marie Presley thing?
Like what got you in trouble? I mean, it sounded to me like you knew you could get in trouble, but didn't care.
I did. Yes, I did. So we're talking about that a little before. I was like, all right, there are 2 ways this could go down. Either they forget about it and I was trying not to get fired and they threatened to sue. Or if I get fired, then like, screw it, I'm going on YouTube. But the moment I posted it, I thought it was one of 3 things. I was the morning anchor. So I worked the morning shift. So nobody else was on duty. And my boss, the news director, was very out to lunch. He didn't really care about the day to day. He didn't watch the shows, especially with the morning show. Just never watched them. And I love that, because before, a lot of the bosses are micromanagers.
Yeah.
And I experimented before with changing the national script to see if he would A, notice, or B, if he did, would he care?
Yeah.
So I did it like 3 times before, to pretty good results. Like one of them was there's like the Syrian government who had a controlling interest in the water supply in Arizona. And I got that from The Intercept, which isn't your usual mainstream news source. But certainly if you know The Intercept, which is kind of the alternative non-mainstream news, there's certainly a credible source. So I would go beyond the CNN stuff for national stories and kind of include them and hope no corporation calls or speaks out. Luckily, all of them were so big time that they wouldn't give a shit about what happens in a small 100,000 person city in Yuma, Arizona. Fortunately, Scientology, with them falling apart, they were the ones that actually took action. But yes, the moment I added it in the script, I'm like, I could very well be fired. But I've always wanted to go on. I love to travel and be in different places and not have the 9 to 5. But I always felt constrained by news, because if you really want a career, either national or local TV news, you're always going to have to parrot the mainstream media lie, which perhaps half the time is not truthful, the mainstream media narrative. So I felt incredibly constrained, restricted, and even bored. And I was like, man, so part of me, I could see this could have been a launching pad for YouTube. So that was sort of in my pocket all along. I begged the bosses not to get fired. I said I would have, I said, hey, if you want to put me on leave, unpaid for a month, and I'll sign an NDA and never mention them again. So I gave them everything, that I gave Scientology every reason. Right.
Absolutely. Well, it seems to me you might be better off, as what you're describing sounds like the mainstream media that basically the industry that you were involved in is, I mean, somewhat, if not, I don't know, somewhat to highly unethical, dealing in at least lies of omission.
And you see it if you care about the news.
Yes, indeed, and I do. So this news director had kind of set it on autopilot and hadn't noticed anything, and then basically Scientology sent a salvo over and they freaked. Yeah.
So all started with Corinne Powell, the chief spokesperson, calling me, telling me to take it down, and I sort of played dumb. And I even implied to her that I would. Didn't directly say it, but I implied to her that I would. And she says, it seems like you're attacking our religion. I don't know where you got all this information about fair game. It seems out of nowhere. And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you guys. And then I hope they would just dropped it, because she called me again and again, didn't respond. I'm like, well, hopefully they'll just give up. But then she called the main boss, and then not only was it, this should be taken down, but it was, we will sue you unless you go and fire him. There's no in between, right? There's no getting suspended for a month, signing an NDA, not talking about them again. It's just that was that. But it was funny because it was a tango with the news organization in the beginning, because they were like, oh, you put up an opinionated piece. And then because he said, where's this fair game stuff? That seems out of nowhere. How do you verify that Scientology punishes people if they say something bad? And then I was able to verify everything. So they're like, absolutely. Okay, I guess it's true. Right. But still got fired.
If you went to like Fort Dodge, Iowa, could you get a gig as the morning guy or the weatherman or something like tomorrow if you wanted to?
At this point, probably not, because it's all in there. But initially, that was the fork in the road. So I was in Yuma, exactly. Like I was literally looking. It's funny. I was looking at a gig in Cheyenne, Wyoming. So not that different, not that far from Fort Dodge, and similar size. And I figured, my boss is
perhaps.
What's up?
Cheyenne, a little more isolated. There's not very much around it.
No. Fort Dodge is kind of nicer. It's by the river near actual cities, Minneapolis, all that stuff. That's true. So that really would have been and I was in Casper for a while, Wyoming. So I've been there, done that. But
Totally.
that was the question, because the news director, in his defense, said he thought he was trying to advocate for me. They were owned by a bigger conglomerate that owned about 8 stations. They were the scared ones. They fired me. And he said both the news director and the general manager, who's even higher up than the news director, both of them said, listen, like if obviously if I didn't go to the press or whatever, or if I didn't want to, then they'd be happy to give me a good recommendation and say it was a crazy, unfair situation. And yeah, I could have gotten a job. The moment I emailed Tony Ortega and emailed Aaron Smith Levin, then I knew I'm not going back. So that was the fork in the road. And yeah, I mean, I could have gotten a similar position. I mean, you don't cry over it too much, because the pay there, you get more working at Chick-fil-A. The pay there is $30,000 a year for a full-time job. Yep. So it's not like I'm not that heroic where I'm like, oh, I had this amazing, spectacular, impressive career in front of me. No, I would have been making 33,000 versus 30 perhaps.
Right.
That would have been it.
And I think you're better served doing what you're doing anyway. But I do notice, because I used to travel every other week for a dozen years, and I always noticed, like coming from LA, that it is true. The smaller the market, like you could tell the people were sort of new. You know, they throw it to the weather guy, and he's busy fucking with his shirt. You know,
yeah.
You know, and then like. Since you read everything, the only thing it seems like they need to be good at is tossing it back and forth to people and being able to speak off the cuff for 4 or 5 seconds, right?
That's why they missed me. I was the only non-robot who could do that, which is ironic.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I could see, like, you when I watch your reports where you're just talking about, you know, whatever happened that day to a protester in LA, for instance, like you might be talking about Danny for 7 minutes or something.
Right.
You still strike me as much better, and I'm not just. This is not to kiss your ass. I'm just 100% honest. I really believe you are in that, you know, Philly, L.A., Houston, Seattle, New York thing, and then like when you get to Vegas, like you see a bit, it goes way down. Like they're not anywhere near as fluid, you know.
No.
But it's the 38th biggest market, and then when you get to you know, Battle Axe, Michigan or whatever, it's like the dude's like, and we're gonna throw it back to Phil. I mean, Tony.
Right.
You know, like you don't even know the fucking guy's name. Right? But you seem to be at that level where you could actually be working at KNBC, but just but you don't have the ethical bypass at birth necessary to be employed there.
No, thank you. Yeah, if I was really, you know, conscientious and towed the line the entire time, and you know, the part that was tough for me in the beginning was the tech stuff. I was never good at that. So you had to edit, and you had to go out and find 3 people out of thin air to get a local story done, and the boss had to approve them, and they all had to say yes, and then you had to edit these 3 separate bits of packages in the span of 2 hours. I was terrible at that. But the funny part is I moved past that, and the anchor stuff, you don't have to do any of that. So yes, if I was just an anchor, I think that would have been that would have been the thing. But it's interesting because it's even if you get there, it's now easier than ever because it's a dying industry. And general local TV news loses about 3% of their viewership a year, each year since probably, I think, 2010. So I always wondered if I stayed, would there even be that career in 5 years? Because it would have taken me 5 or 6 years to get to Houston or to get to New York or something like that. And it's you know, you wonder where the future is. And it's ironic because even in this, with the YouTube stuff, is more of an investment than TV news, because at least it'll exist in 5 years. Versus TV news, not necessarily. But I mean, there's so much I hated about it, but it was a low pay, was never equipped for the normal 9 to 5, hated being in one place. But yeah, more than anything, it was 2 things. It was towing the line, and I people liked me because I was good off the cuff. I could joke around, but I always thought like I'm too much of a personality to like keep myself caged. I have too many silly things to say and joke about, and even be a little inappropriate or saucy once in a while, where all of that is a big no-no in news. And I always felt like people were missing this part of my personality, which is kind of ridiculous and insane, but also entertaining, and people kind of like the contrast. So, you know, it's funny in news when I was struggling, all my friends would always say to me, dude, you're so weird and different, interesting. You should just do a YouTube where, you film yourself all day for the whole day. I'm like, who would be interested in that? And then I look and, you know, I have a good amount of subscribers and I do a lot of that. So I always felt like a square peg because everybody in the news was so type A and serious and very full of themselves. I never took myself that seriously. I made some friends for life there, but for most of the people, I was so the opposite. And it's weird because in most environments, I was well liked. And ironically, in the news one was the one where I didn't fit in because I was too much of a jackass, too silly, not type A. So yeah, it was like I was always looking for an exit ramp, always. Well, but then I loved the news, so it was hard. Like I want to do the news, and I love going to places and getting information that nobody else has, but I hate the confines of the news industry. But this seems to be a happy medium.
Yeah, and especially what it became, it sounds like the money has infected it so much and so completely that you can barely do the job anymore. Because, well, for your personality, I'm thinking, national politics desk, right?
Right.
Something where they had you going around and talking to all the major players. You seem to do well in a room of people of any stature. So something like that, and your quick-wittedness goes well with that crowd, and they all are like sailors. So behind the scenes, at least that I've ever known. But yeah, it seems like, well, you've done some of this. Your previous work. It seems like you have met a number of national figures in politics.
Yeah. Well, certainly. And I was involved in New York City politics before that. So, and I want to use some New York connections down the road when we look at the tax exempt stuff. But yeah, it was interesting. It was like many failed career as a TV news person. And before that, failed career being involved in politics. I ran for office in New York City, lost by about 5%. And I was on a local zoning board. Thanks. Yeah, it wasn't a blowout, and I was on a local zoning board and managed a bunch of campaigns. So yeah, I got to meet like new Chuck Schumer a little bit, Eric Adams, who's going through a lot of shit. I knew him personally. Yeah, nice guy to your face. Although look at everything that's happening. What's up?
A lot of them are, and you have to be able to. Well, like any CEO, stand and deliver for whatever the heck the company did, no matter how terrible, and make it look good. So,
right.
I grew up a block away from ABC studios, so on Prospect and in Hollywood, and like I used to go because I had no money. I was like 15, 16, I think 16, and like I would go see Love Connection. Like me and my buddy, we would go watch 3 episodes, and then we'd take off for an hour, go watch another 3, and we'd always vote for the one that was the 1% or 2%. That's me and my boy, voting for the one we know don't work. And, but anyway, I always saw Gary Dunphy in his Rolls Royce.
Cool.
And he would cruise by. He was like the biggest name in LA news for 30 years.
Veteran,
and he was the first guy to get like 2 million or some shit, or he was the man. And so he comes in his Rolls Royce 15 minutes before he's on air, right? And I used to always laugh about it because they would do these, they would film these little shorts, right, where he has his shirt rolled up, and the tie's undone, and they got pictures on the table, and they're act like they're doing shit.
Hard at work, yeah.
He got there 4 minutes before the fucking start of the program and just started reading that shit. And then he would be home like when 11:30 would hit. I would see him cruise up like 11:37. I mean, he's literally like, see ya. You know what I mean? And he's in the car going home. There was no getting stories together.
No,
That shit.
That's the big secret. A lot of people assume, and they assume correctly, being a big time news anchor is the easiest job in the world, because it's news is interesting. It's almost like it's the baptism by fire. It's like if you could get through the first 2 years, it's a hell of a lot easier, and it's actually not that impressive, because because of the low budgets, entry level. What you have to do is you have to be a reporter. You have to go out. You have to find people. You have to edit it. You have to film it. You have to get the people to say yes. You have to do all that. Then maybe you graduate and you're a reporter. You get your own photographer. That's easier. You get your own editor. Then maybe you're like what I am. You got to be a news anchor. But in Yuma, when I was a news anchor, the one thing that we did do is me and my co-anchor were responsible for the entire show. So we would actually write the script. We'd copy, or you're supposed to copy and paste from CNN, except what I didn't. But we, decide what should go in what block of the show. We had to time the show perfectly. It was a hell of a lot easier. And it was funny that being a news anchor, I'd often have 7-hour days, which is great. But then you get to New York, and then it's like you're an anchor, everything is done for you. The timing of the show, the script, and it's all you have to do is you don't even practice. All you do is literally show up and read. And that's the funny part. It's like
they make you up and they put you on stage and read the thing that they have for you.
Right. And I've noticed in TV news, to see the friends that have ascended or some who have just thrown in the towel, the most successful ones are people who don't like news, are whether they be man or woman, an attractive man or woman who could speak well on camera, has some narcissism and loves to be on camera. But doesn't like, if they like news, like my co-anchor was obsessed with which was an interesting case, but was obsessed with the Idaho murder, the sorority murder thing. She could not tell me anything about the midterm elections or she did not care. Immigration policy. And she's now in Phoenix, and she's a nice person and she deserves it. But she's not, but she has that attitude where just don't analyze what I'm reading. I'm not gonna. And I always ask her, like, do you ever, are there any YouTube news things that you like? She says no. She goes home and none of the content she consumes was news. When I went home from my news job, the only thing I would consume is news. It might be anti-Scientology news, but it was news in some shape or form. And that's the sadness of the whole industry.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really frightening, although not surprising. All the prognostications of the movie network coming to full flower.
Yeah, mad as hell. Yep.
Absolutely.
Right. I got a question for you. Remember back in, I think it was in the 90s, but I know you'll know this. Who do you believe was responsible for the idea of putting the hottest woman in the county as the weather person? Just because it took off like wildfire. And my buddy said it was Mexican. God. It was Mexican news first that he thought that the first Telemundo got the hottest woman in South America.
Yeah.
And she did the weather. And then Fox took it from there. How do you look at that?
Well, it was funny. That's another reason I'm happy to leave the news industry, because I was sitting next to smoking hot women who had absolutely no interest in me. And that's painful when you have to look at them for 8 hours a day. It's one thing if you don't see them, but you're like, oh, and it makes you feel like such a loser. So God, like my last coworker, a true beauty, she had a boyfriend that was that. But it was funny. I think it was Roger Ailes who initially was like, let's do this in the U.S.
Well, Murdoch had the Page 3 girl?
Murdoch, yeah.
Yeah, in the UK. He sexied up the UK news in print and otherwise. I think across his all of his holdings, he was trying to inject that. For money and for
and then it became the standard. Like you had to be incredibly hot to even think about doing the news. I mean, doing the weather. You had to be smoking hot.
You did, or really know how to use makeup. I mean, it's interesting seeing them without makeup, and it's completely different worlds, which made me feel a lot better. Like I try to purposely find times where I know they wouldn't be in their makeup just so I could get a look. But
Well,
yes, but
and
that
the studio lights and the camera flattens out all the things.
sure,
And
sure. May see, and I looked as better than ever when I was on there.
sure.
You know, the way the camera makes you look.
Yep.
And you do. It's interesting. It's more with women. It's now, as it should, because there should be equality in that regard. There's now a push to have good-looking dudes on there as well. But the women will always, that was always a policy, and they don't, you know, I mean, that's the shame of it, though. There's a lot of women that I've known who aren't the most stereotypically attractive, and they've been passed up for, and they're spectacular reporters, and they've been passed up for like the main anchor stuff. And that,
Right.
you know, it is funny. It's like, 30 years ago, people would want to see a hot woman. So they might, like, the one hot woman they know they'll see at 8 p.m. is the only hot woman they know they'll see. So that's why they'll watch the news. But now it's like you can go on the computer and see any attractive woman that you want. So
And-
I think it's funny. I think they're still obsessed with this old model that actually isn't that relevant anymore. You know, I've seen very popular female anchors who are incredibly beloved, who aren't considered attractive in that regard. But it's funny, but they're still holding on to it.
It fits with the corporatized vertical
Right.
integration kind of thing that they're going for, where,
Right.
you know, say like some of these channels are like the media arm of a massive holding company that's also trying to sell a bunch of other things, and which generally say, yeah, if you're selling a bunch of consumer products, you want to have extremely attractive authority figures
Yes.
presenting those things for you. It's pretty scientifically proven that this drives people's behavior beyond their reason more often than not. So to sell the Ford motor car and to sell whatever else that their advertisers, their real clients in the business, are looking to hawk, they also want to be thrown at from some very stereotypically attractive person that looks like the rest of the people in their commercials.
Right. Good point. And because it's all based on the advertising, and you know the ads that are going to play. But you're right, and they're holding on to this model that works for people probably in their 60s, 70s, 80s, which are the people who still watch it.
Yep.
But it's interesting, and I'm glad, like, that's why I like YouTube, because as a news anchor, you're not going to know the substance of the person. And obviously that is intentional, because you shouldn't, because that's what, you know, the news is just reading. But all of that goes away once you start to know the YouTuber's personality, whether they do news or protest or whatever. So the looks and the whatever is almost irrelevant, because you know them for them. And that's what I hated about the news. But it was all that visual presentation. It was all, how could you hook them? Because it wasn't you that was doing anything. The only thing that you did is maybe you could do a funny aside, or you could read fluidly, and that's it.
The splashes, the bold colors on the chyron,
the graphics,
little animations that produce these dopamine reactions, and your affinity for, you know, the news anchor that you're familiar with, oxytocin reactions that keep people in that warm feeling when they're tuning into the morning news show.
I used to watch the morning news in San Diego, right? And when I was living in Carlsbad, and I realized after I was watching it for probably 2 years, and pretty consistent, and I had no idea anything about any of the people. Yet I've been watching for 2 years. I watched you for, you know, 4 hours, and I feel like we're boys, you know, from way back. And it's like, now I think you were actually genius and very fortunate that everything happened the way it did. Because like you just said, I don't know of anyone under the age of 60 that watches television news. The media, you know, legacy media news is completely ignored by people under that age group. So for you, I think how it works now, you know, and I'm sure this is everybody, but I find someone like if I connect with you, then I'm willing to hear and I sort of know what you're about or have some idea, then now I have some trust, and now I'm willing to hear you start talking to me about whatever. Now that doesn't mean either that you're even being honest, but like, let's say I was a 100% MAGA dude or whatever, right? I'm going to look for someone who's all about that red hat and whatever, right? Personally, I've never had anything to do with politics. I agree. This is my theory. Anyone who says something negative about a politician, I agree with it. Put my name on it. But other than that, I have nothing to do with it. But I'm saying people are going to find nowadays, they're going to find the person that they appreciate, and they're going to get their news from that person. And I think you're going to find yourself, and a lot of other people like you are going to have little mini organizations that happen. Okay. Where you're going to find another Dodd who's like, man, I love what you're doing and blah, 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 blah. And then you get a loose knit sort of thing. And then next thing you know, it's exactly what you always wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And you're going to make money.
Well, there are a number of these kind of collectives on YouTube that are very successful, that do very good reporting, that's more factual, more information rich than anything that's broadcast to television. So, yeah, I look forward. I agree, Eric. I look forward to that. Certainly.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's more substantive. That was the painful thing, man. It's like, if there's a story I was passionate about when I was a TV news anchor or a reporter and it was local, you know, you could be super passionate about it, but the maximum you could work with it would be 2 minutes. There's nothing longer than a 2-minute piece. And I felt like, you know, not that I've had the most successful career, far from it, but at least with a master, for what it's worth, at least with a master's degree in journalism and about 2 years of collective TV news experience, I had some good practical training. You know, the reason I could, and I stumbled in the first couple of sessions, but the reason I could cover the protester court somewhat fluidly is because I sat in the courtroom in Yuma all the time, learning the terminology, learning the language. You know, I have a lot of experience in flattening an hour's worth of information into 2 minutes, which I think is too superficial, but how exciting that I could flatten that hour into 20 minutes and have that be compelling or whatever. So for me, this is the perfect blend. What's up?
Oh yeah. And you do it well. Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So for me,
it's valuable to this community to have that distillation of the facts in court. And some of those,
and I think you have to have a lot of courage to do it too, because, you know, if your heart's into covering a story, I don't know how you could ever do it justice without eventually maybe having to speak to some people who probably don't like you too much or, you know, or even happy to see you. Like I've always thought that was amazing when you can get someone to talk who really wants to tell you to F yourself, but then you somehow get in there, and then next thing you know, you get some good data from someone who, and you're like you ever see those pieces where, you know, it'll be some white dude in the hood in Detroit, and he gets that lady to talk to him about MC whatever his face is, who shot 6 people. Like, to me, that's the most amazing thing in the world, because I know I couldn't get it done. They would just tell me to fuck myself, and I would just be, I would have nothing. So I mean, you have to have like 10 times the strength and stick-to-itiveness as like a door-to-door salesman.
Yeah, you know? That's like a Mormon missionary. Yep.
You have to, you have to be unfazed.
That's why, you know, that's why it's like, it's so funny, because with all the, you know, external bullshit with Zero Dark Tony or whatever, and the Reddit and all that, it's like, I don't feel emotions towards it, because I'm so used to it. I'm so used to that in TV news, but instead of on the internet, it's somebody saying how you're a scumbag mainstream media journalist, go fuck yourself in person, right? So it's like, this ain't shit compared to that. It's really not. But they liked me because I was always came off as a little more down to earth and approachable, and I was better at others at getting people to talk to me. That was always kind of one of my strong suits. And that's the one thing I miss about TV news, is going out in the community and building a relationship with people.
Right.
and looking forward to seeing those people and getting their stories on. So that's the one thing I miss. But then I hope in the future, the one thing that's seriously diminished on the national side is national people sending out their troops, their reporters, to cover on the scene stuff. And I felt like, I think the future of news is niche news, is we find that one person we trust in this category, and they're now going to be, instead of 10 categories, entertainment, politics, there's now going to be 1,000 or 100 categories. And I hope to be that guy that travels, and I want to cover your case in Texas as well for the Scientology stuff. But I hope to create, because I remember I was in New Hampshire and I covered the primary for my YouTube, and also in South Carolina, and there's no other YouTube person doing that. So I hope the future is a lot of us, instead of this, oh, we could be a hot shot in society, because that nobody gives a shit if you're a news anchor anymore. Like, you can't even get a date with that. So that doesn't even matter anyway. So I hope the future is we get enough of a base where enough people donate and like us, where we could get by going to different places, being on the scene and covering what we love. So I don't know. I hope in 10 years there's more like me. Who knows?
I think you're gonna be doing a lot better than maybe you even considered, because I think this is exactly how news is going to go. And I think you're already ahead of the game by allowing us to see other parts of your life. Like, to me, that's really interesting, because I get to know you in a way that was never possible before. And the fact that you're actually willing to just be stream of consciousness for 3 hours while you walk your dog, is it shows you don't have anything to hide, and you're happy with who you are. And that makes it that's the co-anchor I'm talking about. And it just makes it like, I was backstage, we were talking before you came on, and you literally have my favorite nonsensical stream I've ever seen. Where like I love it. And I'm always pissed off when you end it. I'm like, it's only been 4 hours. Why would you want to go? But I remember you took us on one where you're like, and here's the backs of the Airbnb, and you already walked a million places, and then your dog's in and out of the car running and everything. And it just, to see your life is really interesting. And then to see you put the suit on and then come at us super pro, it's just it's really trippy. When how can anyone say no one's ever seen that? Like, I've never seen Jerry Dunphy curse, I've never seen
right. Well, that's why I feel so free, man. Right. Because I was like, I have to be this almost toy soldier in a box the whole time. And I'm like, I'm so not like that. I'm so not this type A, ultra serious, like, that's not, and this is so liberating, because and it's like, if you just want just the hard news, the facts, then that's all my pre-record. There's nothing silly in my pre-record. I might make a quip if I'm talking about Zero Dark Tony or something. But other than that, the pre-record is, here's a tight 10 to 15 minute video, better than the little 2-minute news clips, because you need that time. But here's a tight 10 to 15 minute video. This is what happened in court. And for every single, like in my live, there'll be nothing that relevant. It's all the pre-record. So I'm glad you recognize that and appreciate that. But then in live, you can see me riff and we can have fun. And that it's nice that I've gotten a new audience with that as well. Because again, I mean, I've had so many bosses say I'm too goofy for news. And thus, too goofy for news means too goofy. That means too goofy to have a career in TV news, which at the time meant too goofy to be in news and have a career there. Now it's all right. It's just not TV news any longer, but it's still news, and you're still doing some relevant stuff. So it's nice. I feel kind of liberated in a lot of ways.
And we don't take the easy answer. Like, how a lot of people don't want to piss people off, right? So you might not say this or say that, but you don't give a fuck, and I love it. You were going on a rant about people not dressing up. I thought it was fucking hysterical. And like, obviously that's going to piss off more people than it's going to not. But you're like, I don't give a fuck. You're like, put on a tie, put on a jacket. What the hell's wrong with you fuckers? Put on some shoes. Like,
yeah, the old gods know me. They're really like, I think he's actually like a 90-year-old dude. Well, they'll know like the music I listen to, the way I dress, and like, okay, this guy's like born in another far away decade. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
you're like punk rock 50s or something.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, which would just be rock.
Yeah, kind of, yeah, right. Rock in its original purest form. Yeah.
But I appreciate it. Everyone make damn sure you're subbed to Dodge. He's got a
thank you.
wonderful channel, and
thank you. Big fan of yours.
A lot of fun. And yeah, and I would love to talk to you one of these days and we can do our own deal, and I'll be happy to do that if you want. I'm happy to do it.
Thank you. Well, both of you guys. So yeah, I'd like to do another thing, even with the two of you, just to get both of your stories because they're so interesting. And I've been meaning to have you on, Eric, and Selfless for a while, but Court got so busy. So now I'm taking this longer road trip, and I won't have Court to cover until late September, early October. Yep. So I've been wanting to do a whole bunch of like sit down, I did those a while ago, but I want to do a whole lot more of the sit down, get to know you. And Eric, you have such a wild story being involved in Scientology like that. That would be a fun part too. So I'm glad you're down for that.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it. You just let me know anytime. Good. My email's on my channel, and anything that works for you, I'm down.
You're the best. Appreciate that.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. I was really excited. Yeah. This was a wonderful get.
Yeah,
and
I had a blast, man. I feel like I could shoot the shit with you for 8 hours.
Easy.
So thanks, a warm welcome.
Easy.
Yeah, easy.
And then what do you say sometimes, like when you're about to sign off and you're like, you say it's like 4:20 time or something, and
it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? That one?
Classic.
It's a good one, isn't it? And then Selfless, I want to show up to court. I missed the most recent one, but when's the next hearing? Because I'd like to be in person and show up and route back to LA for that.
So I think Pearls has been scheduled for the 10th, if I'm not mistaken.
Of October. Okay, cool.
I had notice of my next one, although the other party filed for a continuance. So
give me more time.
It's going to be October sometime, but cool. The next soonest one that is now on the books is the 10th.
Okay, that tragically I'll have to miss because I'm going to Kansas because they raided a sheriff's home. The sheriff raided a home of a reporter, a police chief, after he was investigated. So that's a wild. So for me, near and dear to my heart as a reporter who's been screwed with by higher powers. So yeah, I'm on a road trip to Kansas for that. But then late October, hell yeah, I'll be there.
Which town?
Marion, Kansas. It's about an hour from Wichita, 2 hours from Kansas City.
Yeah, Marion.
You know it. That's impressive.
Yeah. Well, I've driven that corridor so many times going from Colorado to the lower East Coast for gigs.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, I'd imagine. That's funny. You probably did Lawrence once or twice, I'd imagine. That's kind of a fun
town. Played Wakarusa at Lawrence as well.
Which badass.
Is a festival there.
Yeah, of course. Famous. Oh, cool. No shit. Yeah, so thank God it's about 40 minutes from Lawrence, which is a real cool. It's
from a civilization.
Yes.
You bet.
So I'll be there a lot.
Thanks for being here, bro.
Yeah, of course.
That sounds like a horror show.
What sounds like a horror show?
Oh, that story in Marion, Kansas.
Yeah, total horror show. So I'll keep you posted. But yeah, man, I will. Eric, I'll see you out west probably sooner, or I'll probably see you, Selfless, I'd imagine, before that. Well, no, because I'll be out for Danny in October, so I'll see you then there. And then Selfless, I'll see you out in Texas to cover your case. Best of luck, sir.
Awesome.
Much. I'll take that. I need that. Looking forward.
A lot of fun. Thanks, Dodge.
Thanks, guys. A lot of fun. Indeed.
Yeah, that was
what a get. Yeah, that was fantastic.
Super duper fun.
I can't get enough of him. He's too fun.
Indeed. Yeah, and is helping us out by amplifying what is arguably one of the most important parts of this kind of protesting that we're doing, is by developing a body of cases showing Scientology's abuses in the clear light of day and in black and white, and with a judge saying, "Oh, indeed," or a jury of peers of very many of these municipalities. And then a body of cases that we can cite so that if we're bringing other cases, we can point to a pattern of behavior and practices.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to a lot of that.
The only sad part is that we're dealing with the monster that was built on doing that incessantly. And
Yes.
so I got
Intentional.
a feeling they're going to always do that no matter what it costs them. But the good news is if as an example, if we get to that point where Selfless and Pearl get $74,000 a piece, that starts adding up. You see what I mean? So if I know how the church thinks. If they had to do, a couple payouts but in order to drive everyone bankrupt and crazy, it's worth it. But if they're just literally money is just flying out and they're not getting nothing from it, they'll rearrange how they do this. And I just hope there's a way that we're able to get monies from them for fucking with us. I mean, because they never. Don't they have to at least pay your lawyer? I mean, what the fuck?
Well, so I mean, it depends on the kind of case, and with anti-SLAPP statutes, like in California and Texas, there is built into those laws the ability to recoup lawyers' costs and any other associated costs with having a frivolous lawsuit brought against you for the purposes of stifling your speech. That's right. What SLAPP suit is. So that's one way, and I think that's at least how Streets has been going about his cases and arguing them on an anti-SLAPP basis and winning judgments for his lawyer's costs. So that's certainly one way. And then another way would be anybody that can make a case for civil damages, for damages against their person or their reputation, their ability to earn in the future, all of the different things. So,
but can't you also say that, like, you have to be in court 42 times so they can keep moving it forward just to piss you off and waste your time? Can't you make a case and say that's a day you weren't able to work? You can't do anything. Correct. So they owe you $500 just for wasting your fucking time on Thursday. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or is that not how it works?
Well, and it can. If you can show that, like, cases are made in that kind of a harassing manner where the intention is to rob somebody of their ability to provide for themselves and to have a livelihood, that could be another civil suit in and of itself. To my understanding, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not giving legal advice. From my understanding about these things, civil cases, it's all about being able to prove financial harm. So front to back. So that would be roped in with it. That somebody preventing you from being able to earn the living that they know that you earn, that would I would think be included. But once we get through these hoops of in these little actions that are being brought against us, then looking forward, bringing proactive cases is the next step, like this. Absolutely.
I hope that happens because, at some point we should be able to show that they've done basically the same thing 27 times. Yep. And in those 27 cases, they moved it forward 411 times.
Yep.
And made people go to court 7,200 times, and they lost every fucking one of them.
Yes.
I mean, isn't that like the definition of harassment?
Yeah. And I think, like, as we're gathering these things, making more of our legal representation aware of these other cases to be able to draw the parallels between all of these things would probably be a good idea. But I that would be a good idea for anybody. I think we're at that point where there's enough data that's been collected where some of these arguments can be made. It would take a legal professional to say exactly how strong that this kind of evidence would be and in what context. I'm not exactly sure, But I agree with you that in appearance, that seems like it would bring strength to any future case to show that they're generally harassing in the courts. They generally string out proceedings, wasting both the court's time. All of the officers of the court need to be present, and whoever it is that they're attacking, to no result. So
yeah, there's no end game. They know they're going to lose.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of LRH policy, that it's in black and white about, what he believed the purpose of bringing legal cases and suits against any enemies of the church, that it wasn't to win, it was to harass, to defame, to run them out of money, time, and energy, to be able to do anything to demoralize them and make them go away. And
the other good thing is they can't really hurt us like they used to because of the internet now. Like, in other words, anyone who likes Selfless, you could get sued every other day by Scientology, and it's not going to change anyone's opinion about you.
Yeah.
Okay. Back in 1978, and there was no way to defend yourself, and they could put up billboards and buy ads that say Selfless is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Now what do? Right? That was scary stuff.
Well,
because you couldn't really fight back.
I guess you try to, under the table, spread a bunch of, rumors about somebody like myself, and, try to get other people who might not be, Scientologists themselves to have those things come out of their mouths. I think a lot of us have been subject to exactly that line of attack. And I mean, where it is not as dramatic as a billboard, it still has its intended effect of defaming.
Well, you can always change the minds of people who don't know you. That can always happen. But the people who know you now with the internet, and I think people are just like, everyone was guilty of everything forever. Okay, this has never changed. But now people realize, like, it's back in the 70s and 80s. Your reputation was bullshit. Yeah. But you had to keep it there. You knew, all these people were doing gambling and drinking and whatever. This has never not been the case. But it's just now people don't care anymore. So, like, if Scientology goes, we found, here's a picture of Selfless drinking. And here's a picture of smoking pot. And here's people are going to be like, oh, great. I'll sit to the left of them, like, who gives a shit?
They might pass me some. I mean,
where's the party? Like, no, it's not even going to matter anymore. What they used to get away with to hurt you, now it wouldn't. People don't even care. You wouldn't even get a second look.
Yeah, stricter moral codes in general, right?
Will you pin the comment of mine thanking everyone for their support?
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at the chat. I don't.
There's one of me thanking everyone.
Bang.
We have just now gone slightly above, which is helping us cover the fees because we didn't put those in.
Yay.
I don't have words for how grateful we are.
Yep.
I just don't have words. We both have really strong cases and could not have done this without an attorney, which means that we could not have done this without everyone's support. And honestly, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. We'll do. Yeah, that's what we got. Thank you so much.
I can't
for
say
your
it
generosity.
Enough, but I'm going to try.
Yes.
So thank you.
Butts covered on this one.
We love you. We just
thus far.
I could have never expected this. To be honest with you, I couldn't have. And so I'm so thankful. Thank you.
So yeah, this is the initial retainer for both of our cases, as estimated out by our lawyer here. And
did you hear Nance Drew, her lawyer, quit like 3-4 days before they're going? I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah,
I thought you get in trouble. Like, I didn't know you could just leave your client and tell them, see you.
You need to cite specific reason. You need, like, you can't just do it willy-nilly. And I guess it would be different in different states, but that sounds like it has the potential for being reported to the bar and having some kind of a hearing about it.
How do you give your client 3 days to find somebody? That just seems like bullshit to me.
Well, yeah, and you wouldn't. You'd go to the court and file a continuance so that so that you could get other legal representation.
Yeah.
So, and try to work that out. That is terrible news. I had no idea. That is awful.
And the fact that it's boob gate. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, this is just
case.
the most ridiculous case in the history of cases.
Besides Danny's case, which is also equally the guy that hit him with the scooter, like turned over 45 degrees, definitely hit him. And who's been harassing the rest of us. I think they're equally ridiculous.
I'm still going to give Boobgate one tiny. I'm still going to give it the gold because you were attacked by an areola.
Yeah, geez. You must be shattered. The 1,000-yard stare is, I guess, the rest of your life now. I mean,
you were attacked by an areola. So
yeah, you've been to Areola Iwo Jima, and you're never coming back the same. Yeah, the vicious beaches out in front of the Chicago org where you had your life ripped from you by an errant areola.
And it's your elbow. Like, your elbow could really take a bunch. It wasn't like something hit your eye or like your elbow touched an areola. I mean, here's 30 cents. Are we good? Like,
in the normal course of bodies moving, there was slight grazing, and you've made nearly a federal case about it. So,
you know how many bus rides I've been on that I could have sued everybody?
Yeah, no, this is a standard legally. I think whoever her next legal representative, that might be a good line of attack on the basics of this case, that if a legal precedent was established for this behavior, who would not be arrested for the most kind of basic and mundane and ubiquitous touching of persons by other persons in the normal course of like traversing the damn city. So
yeah.
Freaking crazy. So
insane.
Yeah, I think we should bring on our next guest, who's been waiting patiently in the backstage.
I've been waiting before.
Yeah, and who? Yeah.
Not that I don't love Dodge.
Is just a wonderful supporter of so many different channels. Is really quick with support for our case, and doing some fundraising nights and making videos and video compilations, supporting so many other channels, and with the Cultology twins, this individual, Dr. Who Heather and Summer Savage, have wonderful evenings of fun and fantasy on their Cultology channel. And without further ado, here's the wonderful, magnificent, newly employed with a better job, Dr. Who Heather. Hello.
Question: is the fantasy that I'm actually going to win a trivia game at some point? Is that what the fantasy part is?
You are always in the running. I don't know why you haven't, because you are generally in the lead. It's that last scooch to the gate in the murder mystery Jackbox game.
Right.
I'm normally 14-17. I got that on lock. But you know what was funny? I came in like almost dead last week on one of them, but I beat like Smelly Cat or something.
Nice. Well,
and I was like, I beat Smelly Cat.
Yes. Bragging rights for sure.
But yeah, I love that. I love that trivia night. But the only thing that's killing me is I just, it seems to be almost exclusively television shows, and I swear I have not watched a television show in 30 years outside of like Sopranos and Sons of Anarchy. I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't even know any of these questions, who the people are. I couldn't tell you a Golden Girl from, I don't know anybody.
If you have not seen the Golden Girls, you just need to just binge the Golden Girls. That's definitely one. Pearl have my back on that one for sure.
Yeah, I just copy off of Summer's paper, and I do well when I do that.
But you missed last night. We had a surprise. Woohoo! Heather got a job that's work from home and doesn't have to drive 2 hours every day anymore.
Yeah.
Stream. And
Nice.
we did a Liz Ferris trivia. We did a Pro Snappy trivia. And then we played a bunch of Jackbox trivia. So it was fun.
Oh man, I didn't know. That sucks.
Great.
I hate this notification thing. It doesn't. I literally am notified on everybody, and I swear to you, I get maybe 15% of the notifications I should receive.
Me too.
It's so irritating.
Me too. Aw, everyone in the chat, love you back.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
anyway, that's a really fun. That's a fun game. But we should do some more of the music and stuff where like people like me have a chance.
Yeah, definitely the 70s music, or any of the music categories. I mean, you could get really unfair. You could probably run the table K-pop as a trivia.
You know, though, specifically BTS and Stray Kids. Other K-pop, not so much for me, but I love myself some BTS.
I don't even know what that is.
They're just the most famous band in the entire world right now.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
They're actually taking a break right now. They're all in military for their required military duties until June of next year is when the rest of them get out. So
wow, like Elvis coming back.
Mhm.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
like wow.
Wow.
Yeah, service for Ted Williams.
And then I don't know how you guys play those games that you were doing on those fundraiser nights. I don't get it, but
Yes.
normally by the time you're doing those ones, I'm pretty fried up and going to sleep anyway. So I don't think I could do them anyhow. But
Oh yeah, old video games.
are you using a joystick or something, or like are you just using your phone? Like how are you playing those games? I don't get it.
Which one?
Wait, but pause, Eric, because like the anxiety that I have just looking at that controller, I'm like, couldn't be me.
Yeah, all the different buttons.
It's like
these
crouch,
for these.
get in the car, do
Yes.
this, shoot from the car. Also, like you have to make sure that people. It's like, oh,
This is how I play it with my
Yeah, like,
keyboard and
not
and
interested.
mouse.
No, can't do it. So, Eric, like, I can't do. I just watch because I can't. It's too much.
When I play Fortnite on stream, my mouse stand just made a weird noise. It was like, no. But I play with my keyboard and my mouse on my PC.
Yes, it is superior. It is a superior way to aim and to look. I believe.
I just think it's funny when you get to hear. There was a couple little moments when Selfless was playing where like people are like, you're shooting the wrong guy, or don't shoot or shoot, get the thing, and you're like, what, hold on, like, and then you die. It's so funny. It's like it's like 4 minutes of tension so that there can be like 3 seconds of chaos.
Yeah, exactly, pretty much. Yeah,
it's foraging for like 20 minutes and then just ultimate chaos.
He's right behind you. Where? Oh shit.
That's right.
You might actually hear me swear.
Oh, over and over. I couldn't help myself because, and I'm generally a lot worse if I'm not on stream for sure.
Unlike Tom, who never swears.
Tom's perfect angel. Absolutely. Yeah, would never say a harsh word to another gamer.
Never.
No.
That's not how he got his secret nickname or anything. No.
Yeah.
I
just swearing up.
I think you got to be a little younger than me, because I after a couple bong rips, I'm like, yeah, I'm good. With my cat and trivia, like trying to find the flamethrower and all that. Oh man,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Map of everything, and going after it. Yeah.
Are there any games though that are like what was that one I loved? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Like, is there that kind of shit where we can do that kind of thing too, or like are there other games we can play, or is it just
so many?
Yeah.
like
so
that.
I tested out the other night. I like Jackbox games.
Yeah.
Oh, the groomer's calling me.
But like most of those things, like Jeopardy and Millionaire, have like either PC or console based games. So yeah, I think and you can play over those things networked to a bunch of other people. I don't think we've done it just yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just haven't watched enough TV, man. I don't know.
right. Yeah, so it would be other categories. Yeah, music.
We played a couple new ones. We played You Don't Know Jack.
Yep.
And we also played one. Have you ever played? It's a board game called Chronology.
I've heard of it. I haven't played that.
Fun. It's literally where you get cards, and it'll say, like the invention of the cotton gin, or first man walks on the moon.
Right.
And you literally have to make a timeline.
Yes.
Of cards.
Right. Okay.
It's really fun. But it's kind of like that, but it's like trivia, and then you have to guess like where on the timeline it happened, like the answer happened. We played that. It's called Time Jinx. That's fun. So there's a few different ones, and there's a lot of really fun ones that we can play if we have just a group of streamers on together, just because you can type in answers, and so if you accidentally have a troll in your chat that gets into the game, you can have some not so savory things pop up on the live stream.
Right.
Hey.
So, and FYI, I have to leave in about 20 minutes to go pick up Teddy.
All right.
That's all good. It's all good. Anytime you got to go, just let us know.
Yes.
Are there card games like Uno and stuff too, or no?
There's Uno. I mean, you could even play Cards Against Humanity. There's an online game for that. Have you ever played Cards Against Humanity?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good time, Eric. You have fun. You literally have like category cards and then like response cards, kind of, I guess. So it'll have like a card that'll say, my mom is the best because she blanks, and then you'd have a bunch of other cards that that fills in that blank, and you play it, and the person that's in charge of that card reads them all and picks which one they like the best, and it can go wrong.
Yeah, that sounds like a recipe for inappropriateness.
Yeah, I have some really funny screenshots of games and responses on my phone.
If this could be done, Cards Against Scientology. Good idea.
Yeah, that would be super fun.
That's neat. Yeah, I love the trivia one though, because it doesn't require, like, you can look at the question. If I don't know the question, I just look for Summer's answer, and then if Selfless agrees, I'm good, and I boom, and then I got 30 seconds to pet the cat or go get a beer or do, you know what I mean? It's like it's a fun pacing, where you don't have to be like really, I don't. It's hard for me to be, that intense with something when I'm trying to relax. Like, I'm just trying to relax. So it's like, I don't want to get all worked up like Pearl was talking about, like, oh shit, here you have,
Yeah.
Well, and that's why we started trivia, because before I started my short stint at the job that I started in June that I happily quit on Tuesday.
Yay!
We were putting out consistent content on Cultology, interviewing. We started with interviewing mods, and then we moved to interviewing other streamers, protesters. Our whole goal was, let's get everyone engaged. Let's make sure that everyone, we get to know everyone. I mean, especially with mods at the beginning, because we see their names all the time, but who are the people behind those names, right? And that sort of stuff. And then we grew it into more and more and more. But then driving an hour each way, I was exhausted. So we were like, what can we do that's fun at least once a week? Let's play games. And that's what started with that. And that's pretty much been our content for a few months now. But now that I will be working from home, we can start going back to some of our other content as well. I mean, we will definitely keep doing game night because I love games. So
great. But so you're saying you're going to have time for more wonderful things coming from your end of the world.
So more
Yes.
streaming of Fortnite with Selfless.
Yes, we'll do that too.
Sure.
100%.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
weird how much I like to watch y'all play that game. Don't judge me, but watch them. I'm just saying.
Watching Fortnite is
There's a
fun.
whole social media platform
Y'all
dedicated
broken?
to it. So
Y'all
yeah.
broken? Why don't you like to watch it? It's a good time. Also, I'm here making commentary with like weird fucking top knots and shit. So good times.
Hey, Pearl, I've got my top knots going on.
I know.
That's
you always,
right.
I'm so glad that you are like just leaning into those pigtails because they are adorable and 1,000,000 out of 10. Tell me I'm wrong. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, Pearl once said, "You keep putting your hair in pigtails. Put them on the top of your head." And I did. And she goes,
And I haven't been wrong. I'll wait for y'all to tell me when I'm wrong. Because what's my favorite thing, Selfless?
being right.
Oh, to be right.
Indeed.
Oh yeah.
Indeed.
I would imagine that's how Princess Leia's do started.
I like how right when you said that, Selfless, you blinked like, help me, save me.
Nobody knows the answer.
Well, right. You had a Pearl Snappy category for trivia just so I could possibly burn myself all the way down in this.
That wasn't the
in this house.
You
reason.
won.
Yes,
That
I did.
wasn't the reason. You
And
did win.
honestly, the one that you got wrong was like you overthought that because you knew.
Yeah,
You know
I
what my
did.
favorite color is.
Yeah, and
You know.
because we agree.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the reason. The reason why is because the week before she had made a comment because we did Scientology protesting, and she joked. She goes, "There better be a question about me." And so I joked. I'm like, "Well, I'll make an entire trivia about me."
Also, I'm like really impressed at how well y'all pay attention. Like the fact that you all got the bizarre, weird part of my PhD is like, what's her PhD actually? And y'all were like, yep, indeed, measurement quantitative methods. Was it because that was the longest answer? I don't care. I'm going to choose to believe it's because you all listened and cared that much.
You know, people find their way to these answers
That's
by
right. But
different
also, I'm
methods.
going to butt out here because it's y'all's show.
Well, all right.
Bye, Pearl. Love your face.
So what's your dog's what the haircut is your dog getting?
I believe he's getting a shave because he came up to me the other day, and for some reason he had mats all on his belly.
Oh, no.
So
He's getting dreadlocks, proto dreads.
yeah, so I think he's getting the summer cut.
Nice.
We'll see when I pick him up. Because the cleaner wasn't very happy with me. She was like, "You know he's matted, right?" I'm like, "I'm aware. That's why I'm here."
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like it's your fault.
Well, a little bit.
I mean, you took him there. That's all you could do. One of my cats I used to get with her because she had 3 layers like of fur. It was ridiculous. And so I got her that the lion cut and then she's long hair and then had her boots. What are those boots that you'll see them in black or burgundy or white, like Uggs, yeah. And so it's like they cut Uggs into her feet. It was so funny looking, and she was so gorgeous. But then my other cats would gang up on her because they didn't. I guess she doesn't smell right, and you don't look right.
Yep.
Like you are not Josie. Who the hell are you? And until they could really like smell her breath and really get her breath down, they were really nervous. Like, I don't know about you. And then my cats now, like I have a long hair cat, but her hair is like it doesn't tangle. So
that's nice.
So I don't even have to do anything. I don't have to cut. I don't have to do anything. And then my other cat's short hair, so she doesn't, but yeah, they'll cut boots into you, it's so cute.
Oh yeah.
I love that. I love that you can do that
from the other cats.
Yeah. I felt bad about that.
By other cats. That's
and she was so much smaller than I thought because it was just so much. It was like a goat, that like all those layers of hair, and then she just came down to this little thing. I was like, oh my god. I thought you were way bigger. How much are they charging you for a haircut and all that stuff for a dog? What does that cost?
like $120.
Whoa.
But I
Yeah.
go to a private. It would, if I went to like PetSmart or something like that, it would probably be like 60, 70.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I made the mistake of going down the rabbit hole about PetSmart and grooming, and I was like, oh, I'm never. No.
What's that
So,
rabbit hole in like for the Reader's Digest version? What's that rabbit hole?
that there's been many cases where the pets get like nicked and get sick,
Yep.
or the damage happens. They say that they train their groomers, but they don't really, and like a lot of horror stories. Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Oh yeah.
That's the same as Petco, right? So it's going to be the same thing at Petco?
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I mean, they're chains and they try to do the best they can, but you know, high turnover, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And they probably get the worst of the worst dogs because they're cheap, and
Right.
they probably got turned away from a lot of
from the other places. Exactly. They'll have to take me at Petco.
Did you move your show from Sunday to Saturday?
We normally do game nights Saturday nights. The only times we move it game nights to Sunday nights is if, like, for instance, we have something personal in our lives. Like a couple weeks ago, Summer had to go out of town for a bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But normally we do it Saturday night because, you know, I had work early on Monday morning and I didn't want to be up for school night. So.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with that hour drive.
Yeah.
I had to be up super early, but I don't have to do that anymore. So yay.
Congrats.
Well, everyone, make sure you're subbed to Cultology, but also make sure that the notifications are set to all, so you have at least a 15% chance of being notified.
Also, too, guys, one of the things I love doing is making logos, intros, outros, videos.
Yes. I was about to ask, like, how did you find, you do so much media work? Like, how did you find yourself doing this in YouTube for this movement, or did it start before? Or
well, it started before. So before COVID, for about a decade, I had a podcast, or I had a couple podcasts. They were mainly about geek culture and news, and then Doctor Who specific. That's the name. But I was also the National Doctor Who Examiner for Examiner.com, and I wrote a lot of articles about Doctor Who news that were published, like Huffington Post, Wall Street Journal, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And then that
I had no idea. Wow.
Really? That moved into
wow.
that moved into being invited to Comic-Cons across the country to host panels and interview celebrities and join panels and do fun stuff like that. And
I did know.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah,
everyone in chat's being so nice. I love your faces. And so with the podcast and a lot of the stuff that we would put on YouTube, I had to kind of teach myself, mainly in like just very rudimentary programs, how to audio edit and how to video edit and all that stuff, because I did it all myself. I'm not a control freak or anything.
Well, some people, go to college to learn one of those two jobs. So,
and then
and
then I lost my job last September, and I felt horrible because I couldn't, help support all of the streamers in the movement that I loved. And so what I started doing was helping streamers in that way. Like I would help with like, a merch design or, and really the one person that got me kind of out of my shell, because I'd gone through a lot of depressing things in like the first 3 months after I lost my job, was Liz Ferris. And I became her mod. And then I started helping her with making her intros and her outros, and I rebranded her everything.
Are marvelous.
Oh, thanks. And then, I slowly started helping other people, and then with Cultology, and then I made Laura's tour video and, things like that. And so I love doing that stuff. So if anybody is, thanks, Pearl, my kitty. Yeah, so I lost my job at the end of September. my cat, I call him my kitty, but he was 18. Cat died in November, and then my father died unexpectedly in December. So it was just like bam, 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 bam.
Terrible.
So yeah, so it really kind of helped get me out of my headspace. And then I just kept teaching myself how to do more and more and more. And now I just kind of mess around when I'm bored. And
yeah, mess around and make somebody's whole intro for their channel, you know.
It's true. But yeah, if anybody's interested in hiring me to do that, you can always reach out to me at Dr. Who Heather at mail, not Gmail, but at mail.com. And you can email me and I can talk to you and let you know about how much it's going to cost, that kind of thing. And I'll be happy to help.
Right on.
You must have gone to all those Doctor Who conventions, right? Isn't there a huge one like in LA or something every year?
It's my favorite convention. It's called Gallifrey One. It's my favorite. I used to go
my
every
sister was
Friday,
a maniac.
my
late sister, she was really into that, and I was going through some of her stuff, and there's some like serious Doctor Who shit, you know, signed stuff and this and that, and I know nothing. I know as much about Doctor Who as I do the Golden Girls, but I know it's important shit to a Doctor Who person.
Yeah, if you need help knowing what it is, reach out.
Okay.
My number. Yeah, reach out and I'll help you for sure. I mean,
Absolutely.
I literally have half of a basement downstairs full of Doctor Who collectibles and signs.
I gotta see that show, man. It must be great because people love that damn thing.
It's great because it's never the same thing. It's every episode is a different genre. So like one episode could be, you know, fantasy horror. The next episode could be super sci-fi. The next episode could be a period drama.
Yeah.
The next episode. And plus it's just good. When Doctor Who is good, it's the best thing on television.
Wow.
When it's bad, it's kind of painful.
Yeah,
but when it's good.
So it's sort of like how, I would imagine that reminded me of how I would explain maybe what was that that it was always different, and the clock was going through, and what was that old show? It would all like the Recipe for Man was a cookbook. What show was that?
Twilight Zone.
Yeah, To Serve Man is the name of the episode. Yeah,
Twilight Zone.
So it could basically be anything every week.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is more the same thing.
Time and space travel. You could do any genre,
but it's a continuous story.
Correct.
Throughout it, so it's not like separate. Like not like Twilight Zone is like, you know,
vignette.
Yeah, right. And
individual episodes that have no connection to each other.
This is a Time Lord. He's an alien. He travels through space and time. He picks up companions along the way to travel with. And he really is just kind of out there trying to save people, trying to make the world better, make the universe better. And so when he goes through, like, he gets pulled into adventures, and it's been on. The first episode aired the day after Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah, so 1963.
Yep.
Wow.
So we just had the 60th anniversary of it. Yeah.
I think the longest, not continually running because it was off the air for a little bit, but I don't think anything ran
for about 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's over 50 years, right?
Yeah. Cause I think it went off. I think it ended in the late 80s, I believe. They did the Doctor Who movie in the mid 90s. And then it came back in 2005.
In 2000. Yeah. Right.
So they're doing a new show now?
Yes. Yeah. Have been since 2005. Yeah. The new one's been 20 years, and they've had 5 doctors.
Eccleston, Tennant, Matt Smith, Peter Capaldi.
And now.
And then you had, why am I drawing a blank on her name? The female doctor. Then you had David Tennant again, and now it's Shudigatwa.
So 7. Yeah. Lord. Time Lord.
I hate to cut this short. I'm so sad I
Yeah.
couldn't be on here longer.
It's quite all right. It's been
It's all good. We just keep yammering until people leave, you know.
I've been wanting to come on and chat with you guys, but I had that silly job. I literally
Yes.
started the week you guys started this. So I think so. I'm super excited.
Congratulations.
Well,
I love
I'm glad
your
you're
show.
here.
I catch
Thank
it.
you.
I would listen to it on my drive home every Thursday.
All
So-
right.
I'm glad we could provide that, some amount of salve after, a very abrasive and caustic employment over there at maybe the worst call center ever.
I signed a document when I started that I would not discuss it in detail on the interwebs. So
Okay, I didn't say anything.
I plead the fifth.
Right. Well, that's great. Yeah.
All right. Well, give your doggy a tummy rub for us.
Yes.
I will, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. Everyone in chat, I love your faces. I love your faces.
Everybody
And-
subscribe to Dr. Who Heather.
Anti-Scientology, where
Yes,
me and my
Anti-Scientology.
twinsy, Summer Savage.
Indeed, do.
Awesome.
Bye,
Bye.
guys.
See you soon. Bye.
It's a great show. Another great one. Fantastic.
And they're lining up. We got half, like I said, we got half of next week's already in the bag. And yeah, it's just A-list from this point forward, man. That's all we're doing.
It's really fun.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been meaning to talk to Dodge for some time. Another definitely looking to have anybody that's working in the LA City Council arena. I mean, we had Mona on, definitely looking to have
We got to get Audit LA on.
Audit LA. Well, yes, I've reached out. I think it might be a couple weeks from now or more, but that's definitely something that I think we're both very much interested in. The work that's being done with the city council and all of the different meetings with city government is going to finally stop their ridiculous occupation of LRH Boulevard and all of their kind of assertions of being able to, I don't know, molest protesters and keep seemingly random planters on the sidewalk and destroying city property while doing so. I think they're our best bet for ending all of those practices.
If I know Scientology, they're going to wait until they're like, you can't get in any more trouble before they remove those things.
Yep.
Like they're going to wait till the date that they have to do it comes and goes, and then people are going to have to do something else.
Right.
And then they'll wait. They'll pay a fine, and then they'll wait till that day comes and goes, and then they'll pay another fine.
Yep.
And until they actually get that notice that says, "Look, jerk offs, we're coming to take them, and we're going to charge you $17,000 per, and we're going to be there on Monday." That's when they'll do it.
We're going to come and put these all on a truck, and we're going to charge you as much as a building to do it. So
that's when they'll do it. That's just how they operate, man.
I agree.
That
sounds like that would be the course of it. But at least getting the ball rolling so that the city starts that process is completely essential.
And plus, they've also made it where, like, it's been so ridiculous, one-sided, that I would love to see, like, Jessica go try again to get Paul Modessa. What was it she was trying to do? Paul Modessa exposition or some shit, like, you just let these guys do this for 6 months,
right?
We can't get 4 hours.
So is this city property or what anymore? Like, do you enforce any laws? Do you allow scofflaws, to just like do whatever they want in Los Angeles if they're a $1 billion pseudo-religious cult? I guess that seems to be the main point of it, is that they've been there generationally and with enough payola that, and enough teeth that either you're getting paid or you're scared of Scientology in Los Angeles.
But remember how Jessica was trying to get it for the next week or whatever it was, or something like. I'm curious if she did it again, but said, "Hey, no problem. I want it next week, but I'll take it next month. I'll take it 6 months from now. Give me the date.
Give me something, whatever it is." Exactly. Open up the criteria more and more to show how ridiculous this is. Oh, wow. That's a great idea.
We can't get 4 hours 6 months from now.
Yeah, that's a pretty good public troll. And for the office that's issuing these permits of the city, showing really a disgusting level of favoritism to Scientology. So,
and let's let them soak that up, because what the good news about Scientology's payola now, it does come with a price.
Yes, right.
I guarantee you it's going to be harder and harder, because even people like Karen Bass are like, you know what? Every dollar I take from you costs me 10. Fuck you guys.
She got tapped up so hard in that election for that. Cost her
I'm putting up flyers that make her look like an idiot. I mean, she doesn't need this shit.
No.
And she's got a million other scams in the works.
Yep.
So people are going to start avoiding working with them. And like I've said since day one, I know how they operate and how they speak to people, and it's not polite and it's not pretty, especially if they're paying you.
Right.
Okay. So I promise whoever's talking to people down there, that's going to get old too.
Yep.
And it's not like the police don't have other scams they got going. They don't need this shit either.
Yeah, they have plenty of other things to protect that's making them serious money.
Yeah.
So you have to just make it cost more than the private donation level that they're giving to LAPD, which is a kind of a high bar, but I think it can be done. But it's going to take some wider coverage, I think, of the events and a deeper understanding of the public of how Scientology, in coordination with the LAPD and city government, are robbing the citizenry of their rights to protest.
But we've also seen the police on the payroll not be happy with Scientology, like not give it their all. Sometimes they've been like, you can see some of them are like, man, fuck this place. They're only there because they have to be. Their heart's not in it. And it's only going to get more and more that way, like I said, because if you can't, Scientology is going to pay you whatever you work out to get something done. But if it doesn't work, they're going to yell and scream at you, and they're going to threaten you. And then they're going to say, what does it really take? And you know what? People who are bad guys, they don't like being talked to like that.
No.
They don't like being pressured like that.
No.
And there's a certain point where working it with Scientology is just not going to, even the mob won't take money from certain places. You know what I mean?
It's your money's too expensive. It's the thing, basically. And if you're one of these people on the take and you're obviously working as an agent of Scientology, I think, William Good's going to sniff you out and make you famous. And people are aware of that. And any other kind of pressure where there is consequence for you acting in a particular way on the streets of Los Angeles will dissuade others from doing that. And I think we had a pretty good run here in Austin of having a couple different rounds of security organizations stop doing business with the Church of Scientology because it was far too expensive for them. So, as much as you can do that, make people aware, make businesses aware that you don't want to be caught doing business with these people.
Plus, sooner or later, we've seen enough movies and read enough books. Sooner or later, when you're doing business with bad guys, if they've had enough of you, it ain't the LAPD who's gonna get in trouble. They'll, believe me, hell breaks loose. Scientology is the one gonna be in trouble.
Yep.
You think the chief of police is gonna admit to shit?
No,
nothing.
On them in a second and give everything that they have, a couple bad actors in their ranks, to some state investigators, to the AG or district attorney, to burn them down, and to shine up all of their badges in an attempt to, exactly, save their reputation. So yeah, they'll throw some people overboard and they'll burn Scientology if it comes to that. I think any police force generally, or I mean, the feds do this, to cooperating witnesses if they turn on you. If will break the agreement in any way, they will flip and make your whole life a living ding darn hell. So yeah, I would expect that would be an interesting power battle. So it would be like, well, who has more on who? Like, if LAPD cuts ties with Scientology, does Scientology have enough of a dossier on people within the upper levels of the LAPD and city government to make it just, oh, you never want to do that, because who we have dirt on will come a calling to you, and they're way more powerful than you are. So don't dare do that. Generally, that, like, from my impression from the politicians that I've met in city government, like what I know of Boston city government, I'm that's what I assume would be some kind of dynamic at play, like who has the more dirt on each other, and maybe it's mutually assured destruction between them so that nobody's going to make a move.
Well, they would try that, but at the end of the day, like I said, when you're dealing with, Darth Vader, what eventually you're going to hear, "Pray I don't change it any further."
Correct. Correct.
The plan.
Well, that's
just going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what people use leverage for against any negotiating table, and I mean, converting leverage like that is, I think, the upper reaches of Scientology for sure. If you're good at your job, you're able to convert leverage to the benefit of the church.
Yep. Yeah. So anyway, I expect that to happen one day, where we just find out that Scientology is in some incredibly hot water, and they'll, like I said, like you just said, they'll give up a couple people. It ain't going to be, the chief ain't going down. I'm just telling you, it's Scientology's going down. The chief ain't going down. No, that ain't working like that. And like I said, sometimes people just don't like to do business with you because you're just rude and loud and aggressive and shitty, and they get sick of it, and Scientology is not the mafia. You know what I mean? They act like it, but they're not. No, they need the LAPD. The LAPD doesn't need them.
No. Yeah, and they should. I mean, if they don't know that, they should. Yeah, they are a lot of what's protecting them now, that they only have their real estate holdings and their reputation is torn to shit. And a lot more of their celebrity representation is finding huge holes in their reputation as well. And earlier, like these Scientology people that are adopted, that are representing the church, are being kind of lit up by the mainstream media and thrown aside quicker. There's more public comment about them negatively than, like, Kirstie Alley's allowed to, like, go on and do this for decades, without, like, very much of a whisper. Most of what the LA Times ever reported on her and other people of that stature was positive.
Yeah. I don't even know how, like, Scientology is against the ropes much more than they'll ever let anyone know. And it's obvious to people like me, because, like, the fact that Beck can say, "I'm not a Scientologist, never was, I'm just chilling, my parents, they looked into a little bit, whatever," when everyone knows that's 100% lie.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many Scientology auditor magazines he's been on the cover of, or celebrity magazines he's been on the cover of. Yes. Celebrity Center. I mean, it's just such a ridiculous lie. So my point is, everyone in Scientology knows that's a lie.
Correct.
Everybody.
Right.
But yet they're able to do that. And just like Emily, what's her name, right? With Lincoln Park.
Yep.
The fact that your parents are OSA, and it's all good that your daughter is gay,
Yeah.
You know how many other people had to either get their kid handled or disconnect?
Yes.
They're not going to be real happy with this shit.
Certainly not. That she's
You
getting
know?
this level of favoritism. I guess the line there would be, okay, but this individual is representing the church and on this huge platform and bringing in enough new members for us to be able to look the other way on these increasingly smaller issues, I guess. But no, you're right. The other people that have had their lives completely upended by the previous regime or decisions against them, people having lesser status, would be, yeah, for the rest of their lives aggrieved, and especially if it's your kid.
Oh, yeah, that's just insanity. And like I say, if what's the point of being in a cult if you're not being culty? I mean, so if we can just ignore whatever the master says when it pleases us, that ain't much of a cult, bro. You know.
Correct. Yeah, it becomes more a la carte. Well, when out of desperation you have to change things just to keep people in, it really starts to become diffuse. And yeah, I think it's another sign, like you're saying, that they're up against the ropes, that they have to operate this way.
It used to be they didn't care. You couldn't finish a sentence without getting the hammer because it's what the master said.
Yep.
Now
they don't have. They didn't have to listen to you. They had FU influence.
Yeah. Yeah. And they keep losing the most hardcore people,
man,
then end up making their own little independent groups. But those people were imperative in keeping the cult a cult. So if you just have a bunch of fly-by-night attitudes like, hey, you know, we do what we got to do, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
Get people to fork over the $500,000 to get to the upper OT levels. You're not with some mamby-pamby a la carte whatever. It won't seem that important.
And yeah, and okay, so let me get this right. So how rich exactly do I have to be, or how much money do I have to give IAS before you're okay with my gay child?
Yeah.
600,000? Like, what level do I got to get to?
That sounds about right. I think that's a fair estimate. Maybe more, depending on who you are. Yeah. Wow.
So now someone's going to have to come out with some policies that say, there are exceptions, and then people are going to go, well, the whole point of this damn cult was that there were no exceptions. We found the answer.
Yes. Yeah. No. The answer to save humanity, to clear the planet.
Yeah.
It has to be absolutely concrete and from LRH's mouth and letter perfect. And you derivate from that, and the magic, the power that each one of these policy letters is like a monument to echo out through the ages becomes not anything that you can defend.
No.
Not like it was defensible in the first place, but even if you're not able to play the game and represent it as this ironclad thing anymore, you're desperate. You're just trying to keep the thing alive, and you're bailing out a sinking boat.
Yeah, it's I love it, man. It's the definition of chaos right now in that cult. Yeah. It's absolute chaos, because no matter the more hardcore you are, the more problem you're going to have with it. So they're going to be left with people who just don't give a shit.
Yep. Right. And I mean, that could be an even darker and last final phase of Scientology, when it's all just a bunch of, cynical, sadistic abusers who don't care, who just want to either get clout, money on the upper levels, if they can sell enough and have enough, as it's an MLM in their downlines, basically, right? So, to actually make a go of it, or by some kind of powerful auditor or something, it will just be people that are completely cynical and with the knife out the whole time, looking to just get what's theirs.
Yeah, I love it. And it's gonna be a wonderful day when you no longer can get that that's like that fear and that, like all that's going to start dissipating, where people are going to go, you know, this whole thing's sort of full of shit. So I don't think I'm going to take this beat anymore. You know, if I was willing to take the beat to save the world, but now homie is changing the rules every Thursday, you know, and supposedly, don't forget, it's not that you just don't like gay people. That doesn't even begin to describe the reality, which is when you don't look, they're going to put that knife in your back, baby. That's a fact. Okay. And that's the best case scenario. And that is a guaranteed ending, except if you give us a lot of money.
Exactly. That concealed hostility can become to just wonderful magnanimousness. Absolutely. No, come on in now. Like, I don't, you know, your money, each $50,000 level is like, that's another, like, one up on the tone scale, you know. You can buy each level on the tone scale per $50,000.
That's funny as hell. Yeah, for like $1.5 million, you could be an enthusiasm, but you could be, you know, completely gay, and you're like an enthusiasm. I love that.
I think a few very high profile members have already done this. So yes, it might
and plus people also know, like, I think you're going to see this too, where you know, if let's say you're the nephew of Nancy Cartwright. Yes. You know, he could take his clothes off, run butt naked around CC. He's going to do one little assist and write up half a paragraph, a recipe that he likes or something, and he's going to be fine on Monday. Where I would be in confusion for the next 3 years.
Yes. Yeah, you would. No, yeah, Nancy Cartwright's whatever relative, could be thrown into the sauna and turn orange on the ISN for whatever crimes. For whatever it was, what, you know, or I mean, maybe not even have to do that. Maybe on Nancy's good word. It's true. Yeah. So this has to be explained to the lower level Scientologists. Like, there's a reason why we give this special consideration. It's because of all of the interest and how well these people are doing at, well, helping us clear the planet and getting the word out. So we need to do this extra stuff for them, and that's for them. You understand, right, lower level Scientologists? You know, I would expect there have to be some of that at some point. Or I
love it too. That's 100% correct. That's exactly what's going to happen. But that doesn't float with culty people. Like, my father would never have been okay with that shit.
Right. Yeah.
Not for 1 second.
Breaking the rules. Yeah.
What's the point of being here if we ain't doing this? So, you know, they're in big trouble, man, and I love it. I really, really love it. They're in big fucking trouble. I love it. All right, man. I think we had a nice show, and we got another good one coming next week and the week after.
Indeed. Yeah. Here's to very many more. This is, again, like a very great exclamation point on my week, a highlight.
Yeah, it's fun. I really dig it. And you know what? Like I said, if the day comes where we crap out and we don't have anybody, we can just bullshit. So it's all good.
Yeah,
that's all it was supposed to be anyway.
Yeah, we'll just talk about rock and roll for like 4 hours. Yeah.
That's fine. I don't care. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That's funny, man.
All right.
Well, you have yourself a wonderful day. I appreciate you. And Pearl, see you. I don't know if I saw you back there. No, I guess you were back there.
Yeah, right back outside, but you know, I'm sure she can hear you.
And that was a lot of fun. And we'll get it going next week. One more week of completely horizontal statistics for those people. And I love every minute of it. It's really a good feeling seeing them suffer.
Indeed, you do. Yeah, let's have a look.
Make them suffer so much, Eric. You have no idea. I cannot wait to tell you about my case.
It's pretty amazing.
Y'all are gonna lose your minds with the discovery that I have. You're gonna be like, no way.
They're never gonna want to bring another one of these.
They're not.
We've seen it hurts a little bit. So yeah.
10 out of
So
10.
we'll-
Just stay tuned.
We'll know that in a month, right?
Yeah, something like
Okay.
it.
Hopefully less, but worst case
Could be
scenario,
less.
October 10th.
Yes. Right on.
Nice. All right, guys. Appreciate you. I'll see you soon. Everyone, take care of yourselves.
Bye to everybody. See you next week. Be good until.
Love.
Bye.
Later.